Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for coming today. This is a brilliant opportunity that you've come to give yourself, allow yourselves. And this is just going to be a little short meditation just to get you in the moment, really feel part of the exhibition, really feel part of the moment. There are people here that are on the walls, there are people in the book, and there are people that have spoken to Nick, myself, anyone from Mind. And on behalf of Corby Mind, I'd like to thank you, firstly, and I'd like to give back to you just a little meditation just to kickstart. So if everyone can sit back in their chair with their feet on the floor, firmly on the floor. I'll sit here actually, so okay? And I'll allow you to sit on the floor, put your hands on your lap, nice and flat, either down or face up, however you feel, okay? Your shoulders, give them a little bit of movement, so get any tension out of your shoulders, getting started. Your neck, do your neck. Alright, and whether you chin up, your eyes closed, open, however you feel comfortable. Great thing about mindfulness is it's okay whatever you choose to do. And we'll begin with slowly focusing on the breath. So I'd like everyone to focus on your breath, like breathing in, and pause, and out. And breathe in, and breathe out. Breathe through the nose. Pause, be aware of the pause, and exhale. Feel your shoulders start to relax as you begin to breathe more fluently. Breathe in, deep breath, feel your lungs expand, and release. I'd like everyone now to share a breath together, and we're going to have one big sigh. So feel any tension in your body, bring it through your breath. So a big deep breath, pause, 1, 2, 3, and sigh. Excellent. That sounded really good. I think we'll have another one just to really get any tension in our muscles. So a big deep breath, pause, 1, 2, 3, and exhale. Feel your shoulders now relax, your feet softly on the ground. Now breathe normally again. Allow yourself this precious gift. And you can thank yourselves as well for allowing yourselves to give yourself this moment, to give that gift of awareness of the present moment as of right now. Thank yourselves for this special gift that we all receive every day. Many of us may take this for granted. Some of us may not be aware, but it's okay. Mindfulness teaches us that everything is right, it's not right, it's not wrong, it just is. Continue to breathe slowly. Feel the energy from the breath. Fill your lungs and go around all your body. And release any tension on the out breath, any tension that doesn't serve you. Focus now on your heart area. Feel the energy in your heart and allow yourself to thank yourself, to thank everyone who's beside you, behind you, in front of you. Thank them as well for sharing this moment with you. Feel the love in your heart and give it to everyone in this room, everyone in this building, everyone in London, everyone in England, everyone in Europe, and everyone around the world. Thank yourself. Thank you. Slowly now, Feel the feeling in your fingers. Bring your attention back into the room. Allow your fingers to move. Wiggle your toes. Give your shoulders a bit of a rub round. And you move your neck round. And when you feel ready, have a big deep breath and have a really big stretch as you open your eyes. Thank yourself as you breathe out. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So I'm going to invite Scott, who come, Scott, if you want to come. Who's going to start the talk? Okay. Actually, just anywhere you want. I'm just going to run away.
Hello everyone, I'm Scott. I feel like I'm at AIM. My journey with mindfulness began about 2 years ago, but I'm going to go back a little bit further than that first. About 6 years ago, I lost my job through ill health. I had changed job where I wasn't on my feet all day to one where I was sitting down all day, and apparently that was still no good for me either. I fell into a very deep decline, as I understand many people do under these kind of circumstances. Support from my family was present, but from afar. My family live in Scotland, I don't. My wife tried her best, but she's busy too, as everybody is. I fell, basically, and I didn't want to get up. The only thing I did want to do was not carry on. And about 3 years ago, I went to Corby Mind to seek counselling, and had the counselling for about 6 months, and through circumstances out of anybody's control, my counselling ended, the counsellor left. I don't do good with endings, and as it happened, the ending happened at Christmas, which is always my worst time of year. Just as my counselling was coming to an end though, I was told that there was a new course beginning, and it was a mindfulness course. I'd never heard of mindfulness before. And true to form, true to me, I thought, oh great, group therapy. I don't want to do group therapy. But I went along because I frankly needed the help. And boy am I glad I did. It was an 8-week course. There were 12 of us on the course, which from what I understand is quite a large group for these kind of circumstances. And from probably the second week, I think the first week was kind of information overload. Everything was new, all the people in the room were new. I don't do well with endings equally, I don't do great with beginnings either. I tend not to go very far. So one of the main themes of mindfulness is that you have to allow yourself to be open to new things. And it was time for me to let myself be open to that. So I did. And it was absolutely terrifying the very first couple of times I went. It was just crazy. I still to this day can't explain why it was so terrifying. It just was. 2 or 3 weeks into the course, there came a moment, an aha moment for me, and it was around one of the main principles of mindfulness, one of the most powerful tenets of mindfulness, which is non-judgment. As Stephen said in his introduction, nothing's good, nothing's bad, it just is. And I have always been very self-critical. I've always been very, very hard on myself. I can't take criticism equally, I can't take compliments either, or I couldn't. My ill health was through problems with my feet. Due to the fact that I'm standing here right now and not sitting in a chair with some wheels, is testament to how much things have changed for me in the last couple of years. The last time I was in London, except coming here for the opening night, I came in a wheelchair. And trust me, the underground system and wheelchairs don't mix. It's a lot better now than it was, but oh my God, that wasn't a good experience. Mindfulness taught me that I don't have to judge myself. I don't have to judge anybody else. Things just are the way they are. I can change what I can influence, which is me. I can change my attitudes. I can change how I approach problems and issues in my life. And most especially in the last 6 months or so, I've found a new inner strength. I feel like I have energy in abundance now. Last week coming here for the opening night was a huge experience for me. Not because of the exhibition as such, but because of the journey, physically and metaphysically. We left Corby in the morning, just like we did this morning. We got to London, we got to the underground station where we started, and I had my walking stick in my hand. What I hadn't realised was what that walking stick represented. It represents an older version of me. It represents a version of me that needs a crutch, mentally and physically. We came the way that we had planned to come. There was a long walk in between two stations. It probably wasn't all that long, but it felt like forever. I was in a lot of pain. Apparently my face was completely grey. It's probably not all that different from now. I'm Scottish after all. My usual colour is blue. We got to a bus stop halfway between the tube station nearest here and this venue, and I had to stop. I sat down on the little bus stop seat. I had my stick beside me, and I had a little moment where I had a good long chat with myself. Previously, I'd been shown an exercise in positive thinking, and that came back to me at that moment. And the exercise is to do with inner strength and what it can do for you. There was a person pushing down on my arm as a kind of normal thing, just push down on the arm, try and resist, that was fine. Then the person was to say negative things to me while they pushed down on my arm, and lo and behold my arm dropped. Then I was told the third time to think of something very positive, and my arm did not budge. It was even stronger than it had been the first time around. And I liked that bus stop, that exercise with the arm was the same moment in my head. I had a happy thought that I could cling on to. And from there on, the rest of the day. We were here the whole day till 9:30, I think, at night. We got home at like 1 in the morning. And the rest of the trip, my walking stick was over my shoulder. I came today with no walking stick at all. Nick said himself that he might borrow it because I don't need it anymore as he's hurt his knee. That's the secret. Pain's all up here. It's just a nerve centre, a nerve message in your body to your head. There are technologies that allow you to interfere with those messages physically. TINS machines, things like that. Trust me, I've tried them all. This is the same way of doing the same thing. I'm not sure I should share this, but my happy thought is actually sitting in this room. So, jump back a little bit. I'm now a member, a trustee and a director at Corby Mind. I now help to teach mindfulness. Actually towards the end of our first co-teaching session, myself and my mentor Iris. I've been involved with mindfulness now for nearly 2 years, and boy has it changed my life. It has literally saved my life. It is that powerful. I was involved in making some recordings from the mindfulness course that I was on. So you hear my dulcet tones on our listening bank, and I've made some CDs now as well that we're not allowed to sell, so they are there for a donation if people want to take them away. I don't really have anything else. My journey still continues. It'll end at some point, but it'll end when it ends. It just is. Thank you very much.
Should we do do you want to have an answer, any question now, or should we leave it later, or how does everybody feel about it?
Why don't we all speak and then
do it
later?
later? Yeah, cool, excellent.
Hello, I'm Janice and I'm from Corby Mind. Before mindfulness, pain ruled my life. And panic attacks did not go out. I was too scared to go out alone. I found it hard to talk to people, so I had no friends. But when mindfulness came into my life, I took control of my life. I can stop in my panic. I can take a breath, then count to 1. Then I count to 2. And I count to 3. Then take control of to cope with what I have to face. I have been well enough to make friends, to help in the garden, and run the cafe at Mind. Thank you very much.
I'm Joy, and haven't been very well, and I've been suffering from mental health and physical health problems, and I find that being mindful it's just like a magic pill, but it's not like it's a mind medication, but I use meditation and mindfulness through every moment of the day. So wherever I am, wherever I'll be, I'm in the moment, and I find that that mindfulness is very helpful for me through meditation, through walking, through like sitting, or anything like that, through travelling from Corby to London. I just use it at any time, any moment of the day and night as well. Iris, did you want to say something? Oh. Yeah.
Gosh, well, I mean, I've seen a tremendous change in joy, specifically with some real external stuff that's had to be sorted out, and to do that, Joy's had to make a lot of internal changes, and that's been actually harder to make the internal change rather than the external change, because as without it's so thin. So we've been working together on changing life inside so that life can change on the outside. And what Joy's actually done is she's turned towards her difficulty. She's faced her difficulty with great courage and not run away from problems, but she's faced them head on and tried to be in the moment with those difficulties and not run away from them. And then through facing the difficulty, she's been able to work with the difficulty and be with it to make the changes that she's needed to make. She's created space inside her head, and that's created space outside of her. So as within, so without. And I'm really proud of her.
Yes, yes.
Is that what you wanted
yes.
to say, Jo?
Yes, it is, yes. So I'm finding that mindfulness that you can use at any time of the day and night, with people, with myself, with situations, with the environment, with what you're facing, positively and negatively as well. And I find it's very mindful, but it's a really good tool for the mind. So, okay, thank you.
I think what we can do, if all the speakers come here, sit all next to each other, and then, yes, great, and then we can have question. As well, so we can have questions and answers. I'll start. If anyone wants to start, I'll start. Thank you very much. I'll start with Scott, if I may. I've got my first question is very, very simple. You mentioned that about your low self-esteem from the beginning. All I'm asking is a simple exercise. If you take yourself out of your body and look at yourself now, what would you say to that person? How would you describe that person?
That person is now energy. Previously, I had none.
The person who is now, do you see the person, the change, that person?
Yeah, I do.
And do you see the transformation is actually very positive from someone with the cane to now being the chair, director, and you know what I mean? So do you see that the self-esteem, do you see that the change, as you explained, is very much in the mind, So do you understand that the self-esteem, you have to have somehow some kind of inner power
Yeah.
in order to become what you become? So,
Yeah.
so that self-esteem was there, but you probably didn't recognize. Is it?
That's right. I think what I did mostly was suppress it. I felt completely unworthy of anything that resembled any sort of goodness in my life. So what I can see now is I can appreciate what I have and what it's worth. I don't need external things to make me happy anymore. I always thought that I needed the good job, the bigger house, all that kind of stuff. It was all external. Now all I have to do is look within, and I can see that there's a source of esteem within me. It probably has always been there, but I've now found that I can get round it. I can get past the barriers now.
So what would you say to anyone who don't have, who not there yet? Because they all will say it's all well and good, you had your experience, but let's say I'm coming from a completely different background, and how am I going to be able to deal with it? So what will be the secret? Because not everyone can be with your partner.
Yeah, I understood. It's different for everyone. Everyone will have an individual journey, obviously. The main thing that I think was the trigger for me was I'd gotten so low that no matter what happened, it couldn't get worse. I think a lot of people find themselves approaching that kind of position. The inner strength, that resource, is when you realise that it's got to be worth a try. And for me, mindfulness fits me perfectly. I've become even more aware of that since I've started teaching it. The people I've been teaching have had individual experiences, of course they have. Everybody takes a different thing away from it. So, as Joy and Janice said, it's a toolbox with lots of different things in it. So there's no one aspect of it that will fit anybody.
Yeah.
The main thing I think is to be open to the new experience.
I wonder if I just might add something about this topic, that a lot of the research that's coming out now is showing that mindfulness actually changes the brain. Mindfulness changes the mind itself. So even though you might start off with a low self-esteem or low confidence, or you don't have the resources, that actually mindfulness works on the neural pathways in the brain to change the structure in the brain. So if you think about an electrical current and how it runs through, and then you get little breakers at different points, mindfulness, when it's practiced regularly, actually creates new pathways in the brain, so that the parts of the brain that are constantly going down those routes of I'm no good, I'm useless, I'm this and that, with the reinforcement of the mindfulness, these new pathways, the old pathways will just die off through time, so that it actually creates a sense of compassion, love, care for the self. Because a big part of our work is to be kinder to each other, to be more compassionate with each other and ourselves, to love ourselves, and that creates self-esteem, because it's creating a new pathway in the brain on which to build a new foundation. And a lot of the research is now showing this cycle as a theory now that says that it begins with intention and attention, and it comes round to order, which creates health. And so it's a circular thing. So even though Scott had a loving partner, if he didn't, he would still find a way to begin to love himself, which would create a better life. because mindfulness changes the brain physically. Does that help?
Yeah.
Someone to explain a bit more
Yeah.
about what happens.
Yeah, I'm actually really, well, first of all, I'm actually really touched by all these stories. I mean, I also have a personal journey. I'll share that later. But for now, I'd like just to ask what, because I come from the Plum Village tradition of Thich Nhat Hanh, and they do walking meditation and sitting, very zen, quite structured. So I'd just like to ask, what kind of what is it that you guys sit in the chair and breathe? How do you guys structure this mindfulness that you practice?
In the classes, often it's based in a chair. We try and leave it as flexible for people as we can. Eyes open or closed, palms up, palms down, whatever people are comfortable with. We generally find that most people find that they like the kind of structured type of thing that you're talking about. They find it quite comforting. They find that that kind of routine helpful. A lot of our focus is just with the breath, and perhaps where you feel the breath enter your body, whether it be in your nostrils or your throat or something like that. Personally, I prefer to. I've got a little meditation stool that I use now that I find extremely comfortable, and it's very good for my posture.
So you had a cane, now you're on the floor. That's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, for anyone who depends on it, meditate, but if you go on the floor and you have to, that's on your joint. It's a huge difference then.
I'm a marvel, me.
Oh, you are? Anyway, the one, I remember there was a sculpt before. Where is he gone? It's amazing. I mean,
he's still there.
Really?
Yeah.
But surely you must have tested that joy by have that confidence back in you. Surely you must probably look at it and thinking, okay, I've grown and that's the past and let's move on.
Yeah, I have. I've moved
But
on.
What I'm saying is it might not still be there. It might just, it's a younger version or
I think it depends on your perspective, really. For me, that person's still in there. He's just getting smaller and smaller as my experience goes along. There's still a part of me that struggles to take compliments, that struggles with criticism, stuff like that. But it's a constant struggle. You've got to work at it all the time.
Translation, because if I may say, sorry to say, but you're standing here and talking to us. We're listening to you. I mean, that's a compliment on itself. We don't have to say you're amazing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's another way of saying it. So maybe it's just hang out with this word compliment and actually.
Possibly. What I've found is that the main thing that I take from it is that the external feedback that I allow myself to take is different now. There's a different set of filters in place.
But it's to inspire you more rather than embarrass you, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Now I can allow myself to be more inspired by it. Previously, last week, the journey that I described, I was in all sorts of bad places in my head as well. There were conspiracies, there were all sorts of things going on that were complete fallacies. They were all in my head, just like the pain was. So it's a personal journey for anybody. I personally think that other me is still in there because it reared its head last week. But I have to just keep putting them in the shade instead of in the sunlight.
You can take control now, can't you? No mindfulness. It took 10 weeks to us to understand it, but now we can take our breath, we can slow ourselves down, and we can control whatever's come at us, you know. And I manage pain. I mean, I used to control my life, pain and panic, and as I said before, I didn't have any friends. I couldn't make friends. I couldn't talk out. I mean, I'm talking now, but I couldn't talk to people. I get my words mixed up. So I said, I've got sign language. As I say, I'm working in the kitchen at Mind, gardening. I've got loads of friends. So it's a big difference to me. My life's totally changed. And as I say, I can go into mindfulness just straight away. And
in terms of focus, how do you dealing with the focus? You know, from if you see how you were before, from now that you practice.
It's because because you're taking breaths, you're calming the whole body down, so you can see things better. You can deal with things a whole lot different.
One of the main things that mindfulness teaches is finding your gap, finding a place to stop, something that will trigger you to stop what you're doing and take stock. What we often use is any method at all where people can remind themselves that they're getting caught up in cyclic thought patterns that are sort of downward spirals. So what we try and encourage people to do is to find their gap. It could be some form of trigger, perhaps a repetitive behaviour. They might realise that they're starting to get a bit flushed in the face, or they're starting to get a bit teary or something like that. Those are the moments when you have to try and recognise that you're getting caught up in it, and that's where you find your moment, and you simply pause. And the way that we teach it is you pause, you take a breath. If you need more, you take more breaths. And there are so many different techniques that you can use that we try to teach. It's only an 8-week course, you can only do so much. But you use whatever techniques work for you. And that's how you break out of the behaviour. Like Iris mentioned about the neural pathways. If you get to a point where you can realise what's going on, that's when you stop. However far along the path you are, that's when you stop. You take stock of your situation, you take a mental step back, and then you move forward. You change your behaviour, you move forward. It can totally change your life.
It's
I just really want to say that when you're talking about parts of you that you're not happy with, and that part of you that gets into all this drama, that's the part of you that in mindfulness you give love to. So you bring a compassion to the parts of you that are difficult to be with, and that's over time you learn to love all of you.
Yeah, rather than hating yourself for it.
Including the difficult bits and the difficult parts. And with other people that you can then begin to tolerate that in other people as well.
I mean, I think one of the consistent themes through the people that we've taught have been projections and mirror images. It's often said that we hate in those around us what we see in ourselves, whether we realise it or not. We see aspects of ourselves in people around us, and lo and behold, they're the things that really annoy us, or get us down, or change our behaviour somehow. You turn towards it instead of away from it. You can analyse it, you can shine a light on those shadowy parts of your psyche, that then you can look at it in a reasonable light instead of in a dark shadowy alleyway somewhere, where it can all look quite scary. These are the kind of methods you can use to find your pause, find your gap. Whatever works for you. Some people use elastic bands, that's their moment, that's their pause.
What is this band?
I understand it came about as part of anger management. People have an elastic band around their wrist, and when they realise that they're starting to get angry or getting worked up, they ping the elastic band on their wrist. Yeah, in a sense, it's the way of stopping yourself and recognising that it's there, and then you use a trigger, you use something that will help you to find the tool that you need to change how you're going to react and respond rather than react.
Do you guys try and quantify? Say I'm feeling anxious, and have that on a scale of 1 to 10, and then as you practice, do you guys try and sorry to be very left brain and analytical, do you guys try and chart how this progression works or how it feels?
You can do. The things that I've been part of, we've been trying to measure stress and stress levels. One of the displays up on the stand up there shows how people estimated their own stress level on a 0 to 10, 10 being very high, and then over the course of over the period of the course, they would dig in, measure it halfway through, and then again at the end. And what we found was that people would go from perhaps an 8 on the stress level down to 4, 3, 2 by the end of the course. And this is where people really engage with it and really find a method that can work for them. So in a way we do, given the focus of what we've done, but it's still fairly new to us, so we've not really gone into feelings of anxiety or that kind of thing. People have a sort of an internal monitor, I guess, of how bad they feel.
Yeah, it's about where I am now. It's about where the moment takes you, or in the moment, and it's whatever it is, and it's about acceptance, whether anything positive is going on or anything negative is going on. So it's about acceptance. It's not about fighting against certain things, even if things are fighting against you. It's about accepting that you can't change certain things, but you can change certain things within yourself, how you view the situations and that. So it's about acceptance, and it's about not resistance so much, but it's about acceptance and that, and being mindful. It's having a look at the broader picture as well. So.
Any questions? Any other questions?
I wonder if someone might define mindfulness for our guests that have just come in. You might be wondering what's going on here. Perhaps we might just define it.
It's on the displays up there. For me, it's non-judgment. You don't judge how things are, you don't judge them as positive, negative, good, bad. To me, mindfulness is a system of tools that you can use to change your behaviour, and as we've been talking about, even change how your brain chemistry. It lets you choose your moment. It lets you choose to respond rather than reacting. To me, that's what mindfulness means to me.
Kevin, I'd like you later, just to explain what we're happening here is that with the mindfulness exhibition we have pictures taken in meditative state. So everybody, each people meditate for 15 minutes, and in between them take a picture of them, like 3 shots. And the great thing is, most of the people we talk, quite a large portion are here, and they starting basically they were talking about the experience and their own experience with mindfulness. And that's what we're trying to talk to, trying to define and trying to raise as much awareness tonight. We can write and we're talking about the experience. So that's really what we're trying to do. So by all means, if you have any questions or anything you missed or want to know more, please don't hesitate. And Mind Corby are represented in a huge number because the question is why Corby, not London or anything. Well, Mind Corby actually organized a very powerful mindfulness program, which is what they talked about and explained. So, and you have more information on that. Everybody's here. So that's very much the main thing. Because when I took the pictures, I got invited by my Corby and then went to meet these inspiring people who show me far more than just a picture. As a photographer, you take a picture, but there's another language and the message behind it. And I think that's very important for them to actually be able to share rather than me saying, just look at the pictures. So the three-dimensional experience, which I personally think that's what mindfulness is about. It's about feeling, seeing, touching, all the senses. And I think tonight that's what I think works very well. So thank you guys, it's amazing.
Thank you very much.
What I'd like to do now, to have a little break, I'd like to invite Gavin Kaufman, who is a singer-songwriter, come, to tell us about your story and maybe playing a little treat at some stage.
Yeah, I'll do that in a minute. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who's shared their experiences. It's incredible to hear people's journeys and angles on things, and because it's so easy to get, I don't know, we live our lives from our own perspectives, of course, and our own universes, which are all can end up being just up here if we allow them to be, and sometimes you forget how other people experience this world as well. And I think that's why this kind of thing's so great and it's so important, because it kind of throws it open, it rips it open, it kicks the door down and allows you just to go, okay. Two things, well, many things, but two things I just thought of whilst everyone was speaking then. One, it's you have that nice moment where you go, okay, so it wasn't just me who's been feeling that. Okay, that's a nice kind of relief and release. And then also almost the opposite, where you go, oh, okay, that's a different way of looking at that. I didn't think of that. So I think kind of the two ends of the spectrum is really, really interesting, and also really, I think it's an opportunity to rediscover and learn about how we view life and stuff. So anyway, that was just something that came to me just whilst I was listening then. My story, I mean, I'm a singer-songwriter, I'm a musician. I feel really grateful to have music in my life. I've had music in my life since I was very young. My childhood was, I think, for me, a big part of my journey and my life purpose is to do with moving out of a place of fear. And I feel that because I grew up in a kind of way where I was constantly anxious, constantly in fear, my sort of young life was, feeling of dread was always within me. So I think as I grew up and moved into adulthood, it just became part of my life. It was just a constant sort of drone of feeling. Throughout all of that, music was an amazing release, escape, and then I later realised meditation. It was actually a form of meditation. I could go to this safe space, play music, write music, share music with people, whatever it was, and then felt kind of relief from this heaviness, and I was like, okay, so maybe then that isn't the way of life. Maybe there's another way that I just need to find out how it works for me. So anyway, from that point onwards, music became a sort of a really... It moved into an area where I was able to, I think, share that release and relief from it with other people. So maybe if I were to communicate what I feel to be my truth and authenticity through music, maybe other people might have a few moments where they, if they were possibly having a similar experience to what I had, they might feel some, few moments where they could go as well. So it became sort of my purpose rather than just something I would retreat to for myself. And then I think bringing meditation into my life as an actual thing that I would do consciously strengthened that even more. And I realised that it was all to do with the moment. It was all to do with being in the moment, not constantly living in the past. What have I said? What have I done? What will they think? Or these kind of thoughts, or what's going to happen in the future? What am I going to do there? How am I going to do that? What am I going to say tonight? Oh gosh, what am I going to say tonight? And then spend 2 weeks worrying about what I'm going to say tonight, and all these kind of things. And you realise, well, you never live in the now, because it's either the past or the future you're worrying about, neither of which actually exist, because the past is gone. I can't go back to what I just said a minute ago. It's gone. And the future hasn't happened. And when the future does happen, it's the now. So I started to think, well, hang on a minute. I'm not actually living in the now. And it became very obvious to me that when I was in meditation or when I was playing music, I was in the now. I suddenly wasn't thinking about what had been and what was to come. So, yeah, my experience of both of those things I feel are the same, music and meditation, and that has led to a mindful way of living, in my opinion. So I feel that I see myself from a different perspective. I almost look at myself objectively. So if I'm having an experience that may be deemed as being sort of a bad experience, now I can sort of... No, I can absolutely step outside of a situation, even if it's hurting me or it's emotionally painful, a difficult situation, or something that's unpleasant. I can, like it says up there, I can take that moment to pause before reacting and just step out of it and go, what is this? What's happening? What's happening to that person? Which is me, but I try and step outside of myself. And then take, a few moments to feel rather than think. Because I think if you just think about something, it's very easy to come from conditioning and your upbringing and society and stuff. So I try and just be. And I know that somewhere within me, there's someone who's quite wise. I know that. There is in everyone. We're all pretty impressive beings, I think. We don't always allow that to shine through because of so many layers of things that have happened to us. But I started having these glimpses of, actually, I'm not so bad, actually, if I just listen to myself. And then I started listening more and more to myself, and then I could take that kind of wisdom into moments where I was, possibly having a tough time, stepping outside and listening to the authentic part of myself that I know has a lot more wisdom possibly than the side of me that I may have been presenting or experiencing life from. So at that point life turned around. Life became quite fun in the respect, I don't want to say see it as a game, but see it as an opportunity to laugh at myself in certain situations, to talk to myself in the respect that rather than just react, I can now entertain a few different possibilities, outcomes to situations. So I think the whole thing for me, mindfulness is living in the present moment, allowing yourself the opportunity to be yourself without being apologetic. You know, I believe that we're all here for our own personal reasons and journeys, and we've all got a light to shine to everyone that we meet. Don't want to sound all cheesy and fluffy, but you know, I feel that every person in this world is here for a reason, and no one should ever feel apologetic for their presence. Someone said your presence is a present, you know. Well, that could be seen as being cheesy, but you know, that my life has turned around. I got to a point where I was like, there has to be more in life than just this, and that was a real turning point for me. And at that point, I started a journey of maybe self-discovery, or you might say remembrance, where I started to remember who I really am. And so I feel that I'm so grateful to have music that's really brought me on that journey, plus meeting wonderful people like yourselves who have shared stories and experiences that strengthens my belief in it all. And then I'm able to share what I feel is important to me and has helped me with other people, and I think that's kind of what we're all about. It's a, you know, a big journey of discovery, but also experience and oneness if we allow ourselves to be a little bit vulnerable at times. I'm not scared of opening up now, because I feel within there's actually a pretty decent person there. So yeah, I don't mind feeling scared now. In fact, I prefer to feel scared and talk about it, and like you were saying, you went through your feelings rather than avoiding them, and quite clearly have come out the other side shining very brightly. So that's the key. If we can have the courage to go through it, then I think we're doing pretty good. But that's a few random aspects to my journey anyway. So I hope that's helpful.
I think she's looking at you. Want to take her?
Yeah, she's been, you know. I'm going to sing. I'm going to sing one of my songs. It's called "Falling," and it's a song that I wrote a couple of years ago, but I actually feel it's a song that came through me because a few years ago when I really surrendered and said, okay, now I'm ready to go within and face some of the stuff that was pretty scary, but at the same time realised it was a liberation actually. This song happened to me. And it's funny how this song seems to have resonated with quite a few people. So for me, when I'm singing it, I'm just being in the same place and at the same time as the essence of the song, it for me becomes a meditation. So I hope that I hope you enjoy it. So it's called "Falling." I was in a moment there. I was just in a moment. I don't know what I was saying. I was somewhere else. You see, I was being. Yeah. Okay. ahead to the lights, a faint shimmer glowing bright. You mustn't let it go. Remember when you were young, everything's so easily done. That girl, she is you. Throw, watch yourself fall in. Grow until you float. Breathe, drink it in slowly. Seek, let go. Rough terrain and windy roads, it's hard to know which way to go. Listen, follow, believe. Swallowed by the downfall pour, struggling to see the shore. Keep on. Throw, watch yourself fall in. Grow until you float. Breathe, drink it in slowly. Seek, let go. So when you reach the golden gates alone, there'll be nothing to fear. Listen, follow, believe. Listen, follow, believe. Throw, watch yourself fall in. Roll until you float. Breathe, drink it in slowly. Oh, seek, let go. Throw and watch yourself fall in. Grow until you float and breathe and drink it in slowly. Oh, see, let go. Listen, follow, believe. Listen, follow, believe. Listen, follow, believe. Oh, listen, follow, believe.
Hello. Wow, thank you so much, Gary.
No problem, it was a pleasure.
That's
Really
cool,
was.
that's awesome. That's Forming. When is he coming up soon or?
That's out. That's
Oh, it's already
that's
out.
on iTunes. Yeah, there's going to be a new version of my album.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 'cause-
It's different. I mean, obviously that's an acoustic version.
It's it's kind of evolved. It's kind of coming from a place of now.
Mm-hmm.
So the song is still the same song, but I think the essence is changed in terms of the journey that's taken place over the last 2.5 years. So, but it's not recorded yet. So, so within the next few weeks, we'll see how it changes.
Because I know you haven't played that song many times, I think. Have you played that song many times? Live?
Not lots, but more recently. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I'll put the link of Gavin, if you want to hear more of his work, on the website, on the Facebook website, because that's just only a test. That's just only a test. And he's got an amazing journey as well. I'll put all these details outside, so thank you. Good stuff. I like that.
I'm going to introduce you to Kenneth. I'm just going to
Understand.
Yeah, cool, thank you.
I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah.
But I'm just.
So before I talk, shall we take 3 mindful breaths? So when I ring the bell, just allow yourself to breathe and be very aware of your in-breath and your out-breath. Just be aware of it. Just open your eyes when you're ready. So, hello everybody. I've been having an amazing evening so far. My name is Kenneth Bock, and I have a website called A Course in Miracles Explained, and I teach my spiritual path, which is called A Course in Miracles, which has a lot of links, a lot of similarities to Buddhism, but also it incorporates forgiveness in the sense that, what we were talking about just now about projection, that we forgive other people because we see in them what we can't accept in ourselves. So there's so many things running around my head right now. But I'll just speak what comes from my heart. My journey with mindfulness really started with being very angry. My form of mental illness was anger. I grew up in an environment where money was a big issue, and I was very angry, and I used money as my object to put a lot of my energy in. So I dedicated myself to studying a lot, excelling, and striving, chasing for success. And I was, one of those type A personalities, wanting to get things my way, done fast, all the time, make as much money as possible, and to succeed in life in general. When I was about 18, I guess, it was about 10 years ago, I came across this book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And I can say actually that Eckhart Tolle was my first introduction to what mindfulness actually was. And he taught me, this concept of being present. I had no concept of being present until I found that book. I didn't know what being present meant, I was always in the past or the future, never just here. So I started with the breath. Eckhart Tolle talks about the breath being, he had this piece of advice for someone who came to him and asked him for, what is one tip? Give me one tip, the best tip you can ever give a spiritual seeker, which I was very much. And I was searching for these big answers. Who's God? Like, why are we here? Does enlightenment exist? If so, how can we pursue it? All these questions. And Eckhart Tolle just said, if you focus on your breath for 1 year, you would have achieved something far greater than most of the world, in being spiritual in that sense. Right? So really, the breath is something so central to spiritual practice. The breath is our link with the divine in that sense. It is something that, because the breath is something very, very interesting, because we can control it, right? But then, have you ever thought about the moments where you weren't thinking about your breath and it just went on? It's almost as if it's on autopilot until you choose to take control. And there aren't that many bodily functions like that. The breath is actually very rare in that. And in just observing what goes on automatically in our lives, unconsciously, we can see that there is something much greater to who we are and why we're here at this, the unconscious, so to speak. So meditation, cooled my flames a lot. It, as it says here in this lovely poster, between stimulus and response, there is a space. And that was what helped me. I was, constantly all over the place, but then I allowed myself to just rest. I allowed my mind to just rest. And, I think Nicolas asked me, might want to talk about why meditation works. And I'd like to offer my, view, which my opinion or my angle is that it's actually really, really simple. We all know that the body has miraculous healing abilities, right? We cut ourselves, and as long as you treat the wound and you wash it and you leave it alone, it heals, right? So the mind is exactly the same. If you leave the mind alone, just to let it rest, it heals itself. That's it. It's not complicated. You don't need a PhD. You don't need to do research. That's the way it is. And we have, the world has known this for thousands of years, since the Hindus and since the Buddhists. But it's our society, that's so maniac in doing. We're constantly doing, one thing to another, work, home, family, TV, music, so many distractions that suddenly we discover this thing called meditation, and it works. And we're so astounded. But really, it makes complete sense. The way meditation, in a sense, was the normal state of being, in my opinion, for the ancient people. They lived in a state of meditation. It was only, when we allowed ourselves, our minds, to get so busy with all these, concepts and hierarchies and structures in society that we, in a sense, lost our way. So, the other thing I wanted to talk about is I guess paradigm, you know, and really a paradigm is a way of thinking, and like it or not, we all either choose a paradigm of wholeness or oneness, as in I see myself as a part of you, or separation, that I see myself as me and you see yourself as yourself. I see you as you. So there is this subject-object versus a paradigm of inclusiveness. And meditation is, for me, a discipline, an act of including oneself, right? And that's what I mean as well by spirituality and being spiritual. It's just a concept of oneness, that we are all one, that the earth is one, the universe is one. And, you know, we see this dynamic in psychotherapy, right, in psychology. And that's why we call this new kind of ways of dealing with mental health issues psycho-spirituality. You know, we see so many new techniques. You know, there's Marshall Rosenberg's nonviolent communication, there's, you know, the work of Rudolf Steiner. You know, A Course in Miracles definitely is a psycho-spiritual discipline. The work of Byron Katie. All of these disciplines focus on inclusiveness, that there is no such thing as a patient and the therapist. The therapist is the patient is the therapist. There is work being done by both parties at the same time. So, you know, I guess my work is trying to bring this new paradigm out into the world, and that's what I attempt to do with my work. And I think it's no coincidence that, you know, we are all gathered here, and there's so many themes actually that are being talked about tonight. There's spirituality, meditation, psychology, you know, and actually, in a sense, a social movement. You know, I'm going to dare and say a social movement, because, you know, Nicolas this inspiration came from Wake Up London, and Wake Up London is I would say, you know, they've come from the teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh, who's a Zen Vietnamese Buddhist monk, and he teaches mindfulness, which is the same thing, walking meditation, just being aware, just being mindful. Where are you now? Are you here in this moment or somewhere else? And what Wake Up London is doing is that it is bringing that out into the secular world, right? We do things like meditation flash mobs. It's actually very radical. It's a very radical idea to bring meditation out into the public in our society. Maybe not so in India or, you know, wherever. But in London, there are groups of people going out as a group and meditating. You know, and they're making it okay to just sit and not do anything. And we did this in Covent Garden. I think it was one of the first ones. And, you know, it caused quite a stir, I think. You know, there were a lot of people like looking around like, what is this thing? You know, what are they doing? What are they doing, you know? Which is nothing. They're not doing anything. How radical is that? You know, people walking around are like, they're not doing anything. Freaks. But, you know, it's something that everybody can benefit from. So I'm just really going to leave it as that. And, you know, I mean...
if I may, I would like to add something.
Please.
Because Kenneth just talked about Wake Up as a movement and the fashion of the city. There was one yesterday celebrating the International Peace Day, and I went there, like a lot of people, in the rain, pouring down, completely wet, and still people came. I think about 200 or 400 people came, sit in the rain. But one person in particular really inspired me. There's a lady who came into the mindfulness group, which because I advertise Wake Up as much as possible in everybody else. And she said, I don't know if I really want to come because I fear people I don't think I'm going to be comfortable. I don't know anyone. And it sounds like there's so many people, it's going to be a big thing. And we said, well, come and find us if you want, and sit anywhere. And it's outside, we're trying to do outside venues. Sometimes we do inside, like we did the National Gallery. But she came. We didn't ask her, we didn't try to find her anything, but she came, she sent a message, and it was amazing because not only did she overcome the fear of being in crowded places, but she was overwhelmed by seeing people of all walks of life. And when I say walk of life, I mean as well, it was at 7 o'clock in the city, and people from the city came, all in suits, people you would not expect, sit down. There's policemen sitting, security. I mean, there was people, and plus the group people, they know each other, and people, just tourists coming, looking, take a picture, and like, well, I'd like to sit for 5 minutes. And that's an amazing experience, and I will recommend to anyone who never had the experience, even just for it's not a show as such, but it's such overwhelming, and people sing, people come with flowers, and you have people from everywhere, and I thought having her saying that was just amazing. It's like tonight, I mean, for personally, I cannot think for myself, but listening to all of you guys talking about your experience, sometimes you just wonder where, oh gosh, my knee just been hurting the last few days. Probably is it there, it's not existing, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things. So, like you said, it was a wake up, it's just an amazing, and it's a movement, And one person asked 2 days before the event, oh, is the police going to be okay? The police are actually want you to do it, because you're not doing anything, you're sitting in peace. And you actually, what you're doing by doing that, like tonight, our attitude towards the talk, towards herself and the other, in fact everybody else, we look pretty chill, We may come here with the fear of, I don't know if I can talk, I don't know if I'm going to be shy. I had a big headache this morning. Don't really know it's somewhere, I don't know where it is, maybe if I think hard I'll get it again, but I don't really have it, you know what I mean? So it's great to have those movements happening. As much as tonight, I mean, for me, there's a huge movement to have people standing and say, I want to talk. Because one of the clients personally I had when I started meditation, before going to meditation, I don't have the time. I'm far too busy to sit 5 minutes. Because I before I used to work in a newspaper where everything was calculated. As soon as you take a picture, that picture's 3 minutes later in the newspaper. So you don't have the time. And if you have 2 minutes, that means I can download or take a picture. And now I've learned, thanks to you, actually, reaffirmed that I've got so much more to learn, which is great from one of your students. But it's changed all that, and I can read a lot of books, I can go all the way, But what better than have the person I can touch and listen to, and say, please tell me your story, because in your stories, regardless to I come from here and you come from there, we're actually all similar in a way. Because your fear or your self-doubt, I have that, Your questions, I have that, Your fear, So we can all pick from each other, and it's great because there's no preaching as such. You're just opening the opportunity and go for it. So thank you guys. I have to say, I wanted to thank you very much for tonight. And thank you again for coming as well to talk.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. The other thing I wanted to ask, I'll come here because I feel like I'm talking behind everybody's back. The other thing I would like to invite people, because that's one of the really exciting things about tonight in general, is that as a photographer I came to take the body of work only because from my background, which I'll talk a bit about that from the Buddhism background, but as well because of my love, and try to have a better understanding of meditation and the benefit of mindfulness. I got very lucky I've known Stephen for a long time from Mind Corby, but I've been introduced with Iris, which is at the back, and everybody else at Mind Corby. So I'd like to invite people to come, absorb the picture, and be, I'm not going to guide you. I'd quite like you to, be with the picture as much as possible. And connect or not, or see something you might don't know about yourself, because I think that's the reflection of it. And go up And because that's it's very, very inspiring. That's very much part. There's only word between it. That's all it is. But it's very much the brain behind those pictures. Because Joy is here, for example, a mother, Alberta as well is here, and they have an experience beyond that picture on itself. You're here as well, and you have a story to tell, and that's the greatest things of being able to get you to speak tonight, to inspire us. So that's really all I wanted to say. I'm not going to talk forever, but it's all there for you. I'll leave it to you. So thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you. Thank you for Stephen, which I haven't talked much.
We haven't really much.
No, but you've talked through them, they talk through you and Iris as well. Thank you very much. And everybody else. Thank you, Gavin, as well, for coming and play something which is really cool. Nice little breaks as well. And have you to take the time, I think that's the other thing I wanted to say is you actually take the time, you took the time. I was the one who said I don't have the time, but you taught me something by saying, well, actually I can take the time to listen to someone on a Saturday night instead of watching the X Factor, which is great. Which is amazing. So thank you for that. Thanks a lot. Thank you, everybody. Okay? Cool.